Happy Monday, North Central Washington. Happy Monday, Wenatchee Valley. We have made it to another work week. Thank you for starting your week with us here at the NCW Life Channel. I am Dan Kuntz, and you're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley this morning. We are live here from Studio 2 in downtown Wenatchee. You notice there's no chair to my left, but we got guests today. In fact, I got two guests coming in for the Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center. Selena Danko and Casey Koski are patiently standing by. The big historic homes tour. The second one is coming up this Sunday. It's your chance to take an inside look at some of the historic homes and buildings around North Central Washington that maybe you've driven by or walked by and always thought, I wonder what that's like inside. You'll have a chance to do that on Sunday, and that's what Selena and Casey will be talking about today. My cohort in crime, Steve Hare, is taking a well-deserved 3-day weekend. Congratulations, Steve. He'll be back tomorrow. I'm taking a well-deserved 4-day weekend coming up this weekend. Steve will be flying the plane solo. Don't worry, he's licensed and bonded. He'll be flying the plane solo on Thursday and Friday, but he's got some great guests lined up for you as well. Got a whole bunch of news to get to, a whole bunch of sports to get to, the obscure holiday today in history, birthdays, excuse me, everyone is entitled to Mike Magnotti's opinion. Of course, Mike has his own Street Talk and Other Stuff show coming up here at 10 o'clock. Michael Carlos, local celebrity, will be Michael's guest at 10 o'clock here. Got a great show for you. Very warm weather forecast. The big story, everybody's keeping an eye on the local rivers and streams. It's much more difficult up north in the Omak-Okanagan area. Orville is starting to get really concerned, and we're going to go through some of the rivers and streams, where they're at now and where they may be headed for when we go through our cameras around the valley. It's going to be very, very warm again today. We're going to be pushing 90 today and tomorrow. A bit of a cool down Wednesday and Thursday, and then sunny and warm weather coming up for the weekend. It was a gorgeous weekend, but an early blast of summer came our way. It's going to be warm again today. So let's go around North Central Washington with our Valley View cameras, and you can see the Columbia River is high. It's high and it's cold. It got a lot higher just over the last 3 or 4 days over the weekend. The sandbar around the swimming lagoon at Walla Walla Point Park is almost entirely underwater. They also have a couple of boat launches that are operated by the Chelan County PUD that are closed and will remain closed. We'll talk about that in the news. In fact, that's a live shot of Confluence Park. That's pretty close to where the Wenatchee empties into the Columbia. As you can see, it's high. It's up there. That park is run by Washington State Parks Department, and so basically they're telling boaters to launch at your own risk, and it is pretty risky. It's cold and it's high. The Kirby Billingsley boat launch on the Douglas County side of the river, and probably the most popular boat launch around here at the bottom of Rondo Street, is closed. The PUD shut those down. We'll talk about that in the news, but that's a live shot at Confluence. That gives you a good idea about how high this river is. Camera 3. Kat, our producer, says, let's take a wider shot. I believe this is our other, what we call the other cross cam, Wenatchee Heights East, which is a little bit lower and a little bit more of the East Wenatchee area. You can't quite make out Kirby Billingsley Hydro Park. It's in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, but as I mentioned before, the park is open. The boat launch is not, and for good reason. It's underwater, so that's another shot of the Wenatchee Valley, a little bit lower and a little bit farther to the east than the aforementioned cross camera. And camera 4, we're going to go take a visit to Stamen Flats. Is that correct, Kat?
Hose Landing.
Okay, oh, that's Hose Landing. I'm sorry, that's Hose Landing. So that's downtown, not quite downtown Aniat, but parts of Aniat there. That's looking up the Columbia River, and you can see how high it is there. We'll start out with the Aniat River, as a matter of fact. The Aniat River near Ardenvore, bank full is 7 feet, flood stage is 7.5 feet. Yesterday it measured at 5.5 feet, but the Aniat River near Ardenvore is forecast to arrive to just above flood stage at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. The Stehekin River, at Stehekin, the flood stage there is 24 feet. The most recent reading was 22.5 feet, and the Stehekin River at Stehekin is forecast to rise above flood stage about 8 o'clock tonight. And finally, the Wenatchee River at Peshastin, this looks like it's going to be okay. The flood stage for the Wenatchee River at Peshastin is 13 feet. Most recently, yesterday afternoon, they measured it at just short of 9 feet. It is expected to continue to rise. Again, this is the Wenatchee River at Peshastin. It's going to continue to rise, but they don't think that particular river is going to flood. That's good news, but we still have lots of sunny and warm temperatures heading our way. Your forecast for the Wenatchee Valley and most of north central Washington looks like this. Sunny and warm, 89 Our high today, for the record, we hit 86, and normally we're at 70, so yeah, we're well above normal. Again, hot today. We can safely call it hot on Tuesday. Again, that's why the local rivers and streams are going to be swelling with snowmelt from up in Canada. That's the big story there. Wednesday, mostly sunny, a little of a cool down, as you can see there, 84 degrees. Then we have a little system coming in, a low pressure system. It's very slow moving. It's going to bring the potential for some showers, maybe some thunderstorms even on Thursday and Thursday night, especially Thursday night. That's the best chance of measurable precipitation and the occasional thunderstorm, and then it exits the area on Friday, going to cool us down to 78, and we're setting up for another nice weekend. Certainly more tolerable temperatures if you don't like temperatures in the upper 80s to lower 90s Saturday and Sunday. Although temperatures will still be above normal, it will be considerably cooler than what we had for the last couple of days and what we're expecting for the next 3 or 4 days. It is 6 minutes after the hour. I'll be handling your news, and as you might imagine on a Monday, there's a lot to get to. The news is 1 minute away. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
What's your Automocha emergency?
It's a Frappuccino mocha with whip.
The espresso shakes are my most favorite because I can get any flavor. Peanut butter chocolate for pita.
Definitely espresso shakes.
My favorite is the mocha for pitas.
A peach Red Bull.
Golfers, register now for Cascade Medical Foundation's 16th annual golf tournament on Monday, June 18th at the Leavenworth Golf Club. Your registration of $150 per person includes 18 holes of golf and cart, all activities and contests, and lunch and dinner. A raffle and live auction will be held. All proceeds will support the lab at Cascade Medical Center. There are limited spaces available. Get your tickets now by registering online or give us a call today.
And now it's time for your local news update with Steve Hare.
Filling in for Steve Hare, I am Dan Kuntz on this Monday. 57 degrees, lots of sunshine. Going to hit 90, or close to it anyway, today and tomorrow before we cool down just a little bit. And because of the recent rains and the warm temperatures combining with the snow melt, it is wreaking havoc throughout eastern Washington. Waterways continuing to swell. Late Friday, Governor Jay Inslee declared a state of emergency for eastern Washington, covering 17 counties that are facing increased flood threats over the next week or so. Excuse me. Flooding is resulting in road closures, self-evacuations, and damage to public and private property and infrastructure for that matter. The proclamation allows the governor to activate resources from the National Guard if necessary. In Okanogan County, what you're looking at there, the Department of Natural Resources took over control of flood response operations. More than 100 firefighters arriving to assist. Crews will fill and place sandbags and work to divert the water flow with infrastructure. Look at that shot there. Over the weekend, the Rock Cut RV Park and Campground shared this video on their Facebook page. This is in Kettle Falls. In Tenasket, the Red Cross has opened an emergency shelter with cots, food, and additional assistance available. Evacuating residents are welcome to shelter at the Holy Rosary Catholic Church. Now, because, excuse me, of the high river flows into the Columbia River, the Chelan PUD closed the PUD boat launches on the Rock Island Reservoir until further notices. So the Kirby Billingsley Hydro Park and the Orondo Avenue boat launches that you see there are both closed. The PUD cautions residents when or near the water, since the levels and currents can change very rapidly. Of course, the water is very cold because of the inflow of snowmelt. For up-to-date information on the closures, be sure to keep an eye on the PUD's website, as we are as well. Well, Wenatchee police have arrested a 28-year-old Wenatchee man for allegedly cyber-stalking and threatening a doctor at the VA clinic here in Wenatchee. According to a press release from Wenatchee Police Captain Edgar Reinfeld, on May 10th at roughly 1:30 in the afternoon, the Veterans Affairs Administration call center reported a threat from a known client against the Wenatchee clinic. The initial report was not specifically targeted against any person. There was no threat of violence. The suspect stated, quote, "If I have to fight, so be it. If I have to bring war to the VA, so be it," end quote. Wenatchee police made contact with the suspect, Paul Taylor of Wenatchee. During that contact, he agreed he would not go to the VA clinic that day. According to Reinfeld, he was upset about a medical issue he felt was not being treated properly, and he refused offers of additional resources. And then shortly before 4 p.m., again, this was all on Friday, a doctor at the clinic began receiving text messages from Taylor on her personal phone with threats getting more specific. Taylor gave details about names and addresses for extended family members and friends of the doctor and noted that he was a former special operations soldier. Following more threats, Taylor sent a picture of himself holding a picture of her husband and child from her husband's Facebook profile, and the doctor felt her life and safety of her entire family was threatened. The VA clinic and a nearby daycare center was locked down. Officers from local agencies began searching for the suspect, and then he was located driving a car just about 7 p.m. And after conducting a high-risk stop, they took Taylor into custody without incident. Following an interview, Taylor was booked for 1 count of felony cyberstalking at the Chelan County Regional Justice Center. Taylor's vehicle and mobile phone seized pending search warrants. Believe it or not, there are more details on this story, and you can get it by visiting ncwlife.com. Well, illegal shoreline development in Leavenworth is going to cost a Seattle area couple $19,000. In addition to the civil penalty, the Washington Department of Ecology has ordered Christopher and Jeanette Olson to obtain all necessary permits and restore the shoreline destroyed when they created land for future development. Now, the Olsons were cited for removing important vegetation, dredging material from an unnamed stream, installing a culvert, and placing fill dirt in the river channel during a development on property they own and without permission on a neighboring parcel. Naturally functioning shorelines are threatened when property owners conduct land clearing, dredging, and filling activities on shorelines and in wetlands without proper planning and permits. Well, with plans for a new hospital on the horizon, the resignation of their CEO, and the death of a commissioner, the Lake Chelan Hospital Board of Commissioners have had their work cut out for them this spring. Commissioner Mary Signorelli said the hospital is still coping with the death of Tom Warren in April.
It's still so recent and such a hard loss for us. Tom was on the commission for a few years, for 6 years or so, and was just reelected 3 years ago for the position. And he has been. We haven't really felt the effects of his loss, but Tom was a great support to me personally and a great friend, and I considered him a mentor on the board, and we really are going to miss him. I'm going to miss him. I hate to see him go. His family is feeling the tremendous loss.
After the loss of Judge Warren, the vacancy was put out to the community, and Mary says the board got a pretty good response.
I understand we have about 6 letters of interest, and the board will review those and discuss them at a executive session on Tuesday the 15th. We have a special meeting at 1:30 if anyone would like to attend. It's open to the public. The public meeting is, and then we'll adjourn to executive session to discuss the filling of the commissioner's position, and also discuss our process, the CEO. We thought we were only going to have to deal with building a hospital, but it's changed quite a bit since January. So we've got our hands full and our plate full, and we're making an effort to keep our community informed on what's happening and what we're doing, and we're making the board's dealing with the decisions we need to deal with as we go along.
Signorelli added that while they have an interim appointed to the position, the commissioners are working with a consulting firm to help fill the role of CEO of Lake Chelan Community Hospital. Well, on Saturday morning for opening day of the farmers market, I couldn't resist. Our good friend and my producer, Kat, and I went down to the Wenatchee Valley Farmers Market. We milled around a little bit, took a little video footage to have a little fun. Here's what we did. It is Saturday morning and a beautiful one here in the Wenatchee Valley, and the entire valley seems to have gathered in one location, which will happen between now and May 12th of next year. And that's the Pybus Public Market. Today is day number 1. It is opening day of the Wenatchee Valley Farmers Market here at the Pybus Public Market. We're going to go outside, we're going to go inside, we're going to look at the arts and the crafts, enjoy some of the music, just have a really, really good time. We talk about where communities meet. It is not a cosmetic deal at the Pybus. It's the real deal. It's not a slogan, because we're going to run into some people we know, I'm sure. We're going to maybe pick up a few treats, some odds and ends, some crafts, I don't know. And we're going to visit with some people. So let's go check it out. Pybus Market. Paul. That's a lot of rhubarb. So is this rhubarb season?
It's rhubarb season.
I love lavender.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
I buy the Myers. Is that?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it's $10 for a candle that stands.
Yeah, our candles are $10 too.
Lavender Bud.
Yeah, that's for making
That
crafts.
sounds like a horse race that came in third.
Right?
Yeah, Lavender Bud is coming in. Why do people like lavender? I mean, that's my favorite smell.
It's calming.
Is that what it is?
It's calming. Yeah.
Okay.
That's part of it.
Oh, sorry. Nice dog. Hi, Poochie.
He likes to herd sometimes.
Yeah, he's a herder.
Well, he's got lots of people to herd.
Uh-huh.
It's my friend Rufus Woods. Look who's here. How are you, my friend?
Oh, good.
How you
What's
been?
up?
You look great.
You've been bailed out of jail?
I did. I got the little.
Where's your bracelet?
It's off. It's
Right.
off.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Yeah,
So I'm free to roam about the county.
Good. Cause trouble.
I haven't talked to you since the big news. Everything seemed to be going okay.
Great. It's
Good.
awesome. Yeah.
The,
Yeah, it's an upgrade. Found a better publisher, so it's always good. I'm still working, so
Good.
don't call me retired. I'm not
Okay, I
retired.
won't know. All right, Kat, let's pop on out. Let me get my asparagus and let's call it a day. What do you say? I don't think I have $5 anymore. I think I spent my $5. I might have $5. I got to get asparagus. I have 4.
That works.
Will that work? Good. God love you then. Thank you.
Of course.
Do I get to pick my own one? They all look good, but I like them short and fat. So I'm going to grab that one right there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great day. I'll see you. You'll be here next week?
Yeah, we'll be here 6 more times.
Okay. Best asparagus around, I'm told. Thank you. Yeah, a lot of people down at the Pybus. Of course, they also had a couple of walks and runs for fundraisers. The Friends of the Library had their book sale. You saw a quick snippet of that. Pybus Public Market is such a fun place to go to, especially when the farmers market is up and running. Of course, it's early in the season. If you were looking for fresh fruits and vegetables, your two choices were essentially rhubarb or asparagus, but it'll change. It'll change as we get deeper and deeper into the growing season. Pybus, where communities meet. All right, 18 minutes after the hour. Don't forget about the news with Grant Olson. It comes your way Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. Those are your 3 chances to watch it on this very television station. You're also available to watch it on demand whenever you want to by going to our website. We'll get the news up and running late in the afternoon, early in the evening. And also, we archive our newscasts. So you can go back months and months. If there was a story that you missed a couple of weeks ago, go to our website and you'll be able to check out our news as well. We're constantly populating it throughout the course of the day. Also, all of our locally produced programs are available to watch on demand whenever you want to. This show, Street Talk and other stuff, Life with Lisa, the 12th District, you name it. All of our local shows that we love so much. Green Thumbs and Dirty Knees, you can watch them by going to our website at ncwlife.com, ncwlife.com. Don't forget, we have a Twitter handle. We have a Facebook page. You can private message us there. Or if you're on ncwlife.com and you don't want to drop us a note or give us a news tip, it's pretty easy to do. Just go to the Contact Us tab at the top of the screen and just down the road you go. It is 19 minutes after the hour. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, sports. Wenatchee Wild. Boy, they're dramatic. Oh, man, they're dramatic, but they're looking really good right now in the RPC Cup. Also, the complete wrap-up in preps and a tough Sunday for the Mariners. Sports is 1 minute away. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley live this morning from Studio 5 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Live channel.
It's a free walk-in job search assistance center. It is designed to help job seekers with the tools that they need to find a job. We have partnered with libraries in 5 other cities, providing the same types of services that we offer here, just there.
Just walk in, we have laptops, and we can help you with resume, cover letter.
All of our services are paid for by the revenues earned in our store. Goodwill is just a tool that the community is using to help their neighbors find a job. Goodwill, there's more behind the store.
I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCW Life channel.
I'm Eric Grandstrom with NCW Life Sports.
I'm NCW Life News Director Steve Hare.
Catch us on Local Tel Channel 12.
You can watch us on Charter Channel 19 or stream us live on ncwlife.com.
Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook.
Where we cover the local high schools, the Wenatchee Wild, and the pro teams out of Seattle.
On Saturday, we have a 90% chance of rain.
Catch it all right here on the NCW Life channel.
And welcome back. 21 minutes after the hour. That is a live shot of Confluence State Park, where the Wenatchee meets the Columbia. Again, the big story today, the rivers and the streams continue to rise. Down here in the Wenatchee Valley, we're doing kind of okay. It's the folks up north in the Omak-Okanagan area that they're really going to be sweating out the next couple of days, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. We'll keep a close eye on the area rivers and streams. All right, sports. Not since the Brian Sipe 1980 Cleveland Browns have there been a team like the Cardiac Kids, like the Wenatchee Wild. Twice over the weekend, twice. Wenatchee took until the very last moments to pick up victories in their first couple of games of the RBC Cup. It took overtime Saturday and late into the final period on Sunday, but Wenatchee got it done, and they're in good shape. Looks like they're going to punch their ticket into Saturday semifinals. We'll start out with Saturday night. We'll back the truck up to the Prospera Center in Chilliwack, British Columbia. A big hometown crowd, as you might expect. We're there for Game 2 of the RBC Cup. Wenatchee and the Chiefs, two teams very familiar with each other. The fans would have to wait 32 minutes before a goal would be scored. Chilliwack took the lead late into the second period. Wenatchee would counter midway through the third. Eventually, they worked their way to overtime. From our friends at Hockey TV, your highlights from Saturday.
In the attacking zone, Skylar Brindamore puts the brakes on, looking for a trailer. Uchuk winds, fires, rebound, Turcotte shoots, he scores! Jared Turcotte off the end wall had a yawning cage, and the Chiefs have struck first in Game 1 on day 1.
That's right.
Thrown on and tight, they score! The captain, A.J. Vanderbeck, off to the left of Daniel Chenard on a face-off win by the Wild, and they've tied the game.
Told you it wasn't going to be pretty, Vaughn. I told you that. And we got ourselves a 1-1 hockey game. Deflection from the point. Bouncer right off Powell Connor's skate, right to the Wenatchee forward stick.
Andonovsky, 10 to go on the clock. Here's a chance, Blaisdell in front, and he put it wide, rimmed around, and past T-Sink, and we are headed to overtime. So the winner tonight will tie the Ottawa Junior Senators atop the standings after day 1. Lucas Sauter coasting in, shoots, he scores! 18 seconds in, Lucas Sauter dances in and slips it by Daniel Chenard, and the Wild win it in overtime, courtesy of Lucas Sauter, and the beat rolls on for the Wenatchee Wild.
Good to see Lucas playing again and playing well. 2 games into the tournament, they had 2 overtime games because the other game on Saturday also went in overtime. Ottawa down to Wellington in that one, 2-1. So on to yesterday in a meeting with the Western Conference champion. The Western champion Steinbach Pistons is the team they took on. Things did not start well for Wenatchee. Steinbach jumped up to a 2-0 lead in the first period, and that prompted Coach Bliss Littler to pull goalie Austin Park. In came Seth Isley, but he would hold serve. The Wild managed to tie it, and then they would go on to the 4-3 victory. Once again, highlights come from Hockey TV.
As much as he can against the team and the matchups he wants. There's a quick shot, and they score. Sharp angle shot, a rebound that Austin Park gave up. Here's a chance. Heidemann splits the defense. In on goal. He shoots, he scores. What speed by Heidemann, who cut through the Wild defense. On goals by Luke Bellerose and Austin Heidemann. Now they score. Jasper Weatherby And the Wild have found life inside the last minute of play here. Corralled there at the Pistons blue line. Now Weatherby, nice move in front, shoots, he scores! McConnell to the right point, Wilson with a drive in front, rebound, they score! Daniel McKittrick, Johnny on the spot off to the right of Seth Isley. Cooper Zek for Sam Morton again. Down low into the skates of Weatherby, back for Zek. Left side, Galambos shoots, he scores! Zach Galambos, one-timer on the power play, and just like that, the Wild have tied it. It's 3-3. Demon for Sasaki. Now Arnold. Vanderbeek winds, fires, shoots, he scores! What a clapper by A.J. Vanderbeek just outside the top of the right circle. Now Thiessen went back on. There's 5 players. All the Pistons are in disarray right now. That's a blunder. Inside the final minute of play, they could not get Thiessen on the ice.
Interesting. Both coaches didn't look too eager, Vonnie, to get him to the bench.
So Wenatchee leads the RBC Cup standings through 2 games. They have 5 points. Chilliwack and Ottawa each have 3 points after the Chiefs beat the Junior Senators in overtime on Sunday. The final there was 4-3. Wenatchee has an off day today. Tomorrow they'll take on Ottawa at 2 o'clock. All right, Les Schwab Prep Scoreboard. We'll start out with baseball over the weekend, and the big story, the Wenatchee Panthers pulled off the surprise over the weekend at the Big 9 District Tournament. West Valley knocked Eastmont out of the tournament 4-3. That was on Friday. And then the Panthers brought out the hitting shoes on Saturday, beating West Valley 9-1 in the semifinals. And then they took on the host Moses Lake Chiefs for the district title, and they beat them 9-5. Wenatchee heads off to regional Saturday. They'll be at University High in Spokane at 10 a.m. They'll take on Chiawana on Saturday morning. Also on Friday, Chelan surprised Cashmere in the Caribou Trail League District Championship game. The Goats claimed the title with a 10-6 victory over the Bulldogs. Then Okanagan edged Cashmere 4-1 for second place and third place respectively. So Chelan, they're straight to the state tournament. Okanagan will host Colville tomorrow at 4:30 in the CTL-NEA crossover. Cashmere will play at Chewelah tomorrow at 4:30 with a chance to advance to state. Les Schwab Prep Scoreboard, softball over the weekend. Eastmont fell to Moses Lake Friday to wrap up the Big 9 regular season. The district play-in games tomorrow will feature Wenatchee hosting Davis at 4 o'clock. West Valley will play at Eisenhower. The winners of tomorrow's games will play Friday at the higher seed, with the winner of that game advancing to take on Eastmont in Saturday's semifinal. Moses Lake just sits there and waits for the district title game on Saturday. We're still talking softball. Caribou Trail League District Championships on Saturday. Cascade repeated as champions with a 4-2 win over Okanagan. Chelan knocked Omak out of the tournament 16-6. Lacrosse, the Wenatchee Valley Thunder exacted revenge on the team that knocked them out of the playoffs last year. And that was Issaquah. They beat them on Saturday night 10-4 to advance to the quarterfinals. Roby Jorgensen had 3 goals. Grady Coldy and Jake Reiner each had a couple of goals as the Thunder picked up the victory. Wenatchee will travel to Tahoma for its next game. That will be Friday at 7 o'clock. The local rugby team heading to the state championship. Schoolhouse Rugby beat the Tri-Cities 57-33 Saturday at Confluence State Park. Here's the video. Thanks to Kelly Campbell for the video, and we want to congratulate, maybe we don't have the video, but thank you anyway to Kelly Campbell, and congratulations to Schoolhouse. There you go. There they are. Schoolhouse will take on Yakima for the state rugby championship Saturday in Tacoma. So congratulations to Schoolhouse Rugby. There they are, defeating Tri-Cities 57-33 Saturday at Confluence State Park. All right, prep schedule for today. I know it's a Monday, but there's a lot going on. CTL has a league match today at the Okanagan Valley Golf Course at noon. Meanwhile, the Big 9 Boys District Tournament gets underway at Apple Tree in Yakima. That starts at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Oh, bad Sunday for the Mariners. A costly loss for the Mariners on Sunday. Second baseman Robinson Cano broke his right hand. He may need surgery. They think it might be the pinky finger. He was hit by a pitch in the 3rd inning. The 5th metacarpal bone is what's broken. He's going to be sidelined probably for the rest of the first half of the season. We don't really know yet. On the field, Juan Nicasio gave up a game-winning RBI base hit to Jose Iglesias in the bottom of the 9th. Detroit came away with a 5-4 victory. They took 2 of 3 from Seattle over the weekend series. Seattle has a makeup game today. They'll be in Minnesota at 4:07. That's sports. 29 minutes after the hour. The obscure holiday, always May 14th. All of America celebrates Dance Like a Chicken Day. It is National Dance like a chicken day. All you got to do is dance like a chicken. Any old song will do, but most people danced with the chicken dance song. It's very popular at weddings. It's an all ages kind of a dance. Everybody can get into it. If there's a band and there's dancing and it's a social event, somebody is doing the chicken dance. I am not. And by the way, for the record, I did a little research. I don't know any chickens that actually dance. Just thought I'd throw that out there. It's 30 minutes after the hour, 58 degrees, lots of sunshine today. We'll be pushing 90 today. We'll be into the lower 90s on Tuesday. Snowmelt will continue today in history. May 14th, 1800, 218 years ago, the process of moving the U.S. Capitol from Philadelphia to Washington, D.C. began. Took them most of the rest of the year. I'm thinking it might not be such a bad idea to move the nation's capital from Washington, D.C. back to Pennsylvania, because if you move, and everybody has moved multiple times in their life, you throw out a bunch of stuff that you don't need. You end up with a bunch of boxes of stuff that you're not going to move to your new location. And I can't think of any place in the world that needs to have a bunch of boxes of junk thrown out than Washington, D.C. They should seriously consider moving the capital again. Just thought I'd throw that out there. May 14th, 1804, 214 years ago today, that's Camp Du Bois, which is now underwater because the Missouri has changed its course since May 14th, 1804. But the Lewis and Clark expedition, the Corps of Discovery, began their famous and historic journey traveling up the Missouri River. It all began on this date 214 years ago. And exactly 2.5 hours into the trip, it started. Frank Quantrill of the Corps of Discovery said, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet? I got to go to the bathroom. Johnny's hitting me. I'm hungry." It started early, 214 years ago today. Meriwether Lewis said, "If you don't knock this off right now, we're turning the canoes around and going home. I mean it." May 14th, 1948. Israel's in the news today. There's a lot going on. You know, they're moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. This is the 70th birthday, the 70th anniversary of the founding of Israel. Israel declared to be an independent state, and a provisional government was established. Harry Truman recognized them immediately, and to celebrate it, all of their Arab neighbors attacked Israel. All of them. They all started just bombing the Jesus out of Israel. They hung in there. Israel is 70 years old today, and as you might imagine, there's a lot of violence on the West Bank today. 50 years ago today, May 14th, 1968, John Lennon and Paul McCartney appeared together for the only time on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. Johnny wasn't there. They were there to promote Apple Records, and just to give a quick little update on what's going on in the world of Beatles. It was a huge thing. It was highly rated. John and Paul simply assumed that Johnny was going to be there. When they got to the studio, they discovered that Johnny Carson was on vacation, guest hosting that night. Joe Garagiola, the retired catcher, who they've never heard of before. They said he was a nice guy and all that, but they seriously considered not going on the show because they didn't know Johnny wasn't going to be there until they showed up, and Johnny wasn't there. 50 years ago today, John and Paul on The Tonight Show with Joe Garagiola. Johnny. Birthdays today. I miss this guy, Bobby Darin, the great Bobby Darin. He was a talent, man. He could do it all. He could act, he could sing, he could play instruments. Mac the Knife, Splish Splash, Dream Lover, If I Was a Carpenter. He wrote songs. He was a great guy, a great rocker and roller. In fact, he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and on merit, too, class of 1990. The great Bobby Darin was born in this date in 1936, passed away of a heart ailment at the age of 37 back in 1973. The great Bobby Darin. George Lucas has done okay for himself. George Lucas is 74 years old. His big breakthrough was directing and producing American Graffiti. And from that, of course, he had launched the Star Wars franchise, and then together with his good buddy Steven Spielberg, the Indiana Jones franchise. George Lucas, now pretty much retired, 74 years old today. And speaking of a guy who's doing pretty good, how about Mark Zuckerberg? This guy's only 34. He's only 34. As of last month, his estimated net worth, $66.4 billion. And for the last 8 years, he's been on Time Magazine's list of the 100 most important people in the world. Forbes lists him as the 10th most powerful person on the planet. And Mark Zuckerberg is only 34 years old. That is impressive. It is 34 minutes after the hour. Everyone is entitled to Mike Magnotti's opinion. Don't forget, Street Talk and other stuff live today from this very studio. Michael Carlos, local musician, will be Mike's guest today at 10 o'clock. And don't forget, in the second half of the show, a couple of our good friends from the Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center, Selena Danko and Casey Koski, will be here to talk about the historic home tour this Sunday. We got a lot to get to between now and 8 o'clock. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Hi everyone, Brent. Hey, don't mind, we're just making a commercial here, Randall. You're okay. Hi everyone, Brent here. You're gonna love this. When you see this, come down and see us behind Nissan. I can do it. I can do it. The all-new 2018 Nissan. That's done, I'm done. We can't do it. Come down and see us at Town Nissan behind Costco in East Wenatchee. Better performance, better proof.
The Arbiter of Stoke is a series that highlights a variety of outdoor adventure sports that are available in the Pacific Northwest. I dedicate my time to enjoying this natural playground. The decision is yours. How will you keep your Stoke?
Happy spring, Wenatchee Valley from Collins Fashions. We are so ready for your Wenatchee lifestyle special events and vacation time. Colorful tees and tunics, embroidered and colorful ankle jeans, capris and shorts from Not Your Daughters, Jag, Liverpool, French dressing, etc. Beautiful mom of the bride or groom dresses, sundresses too. New shoes and sandals from Soft, Bueno, Nicole, Naked Feet. Spring Brighton handbags and jewelry are amazing. Please stop into Collins and let us style and pamper you, where fun meets fashion in downtown Wenatchee.
I have a doctor who knows what they're talking about.
It's just so much more hands-on and friendly than anywhere else I've ever been.
It's really great to walk into somewhere where you feel welcomed and you feel accepted.
We've just been grateful for the care and respect that we've been given there.
And here when I come to visit my doctor, I'm not afraid to ask questions.
It's not just about getting you in and out.
I love my care at CVCH. It's awesome. Give it a try.
Walk and Roll Wenatchee's Asian Express is fast, fresh food. Wenatchee Roll's new Poke Hawaiian Fresh Salad Bar is the best. Fresh greens, fresh seafood, and hand-made sauces. You know what you want. At Walk and Roll, create your own style meal. Hot off-the-line chicken, beef, and veggie plates. Lunch or dinner to match your appetite. Fresh sushi, hot entrees, Poke Fresh Salad Bar. It's new. It's Walk and Roll Wenatchee, fast, fresh food your way. Located on 5th and Mission.
It's a free walk-in job search assistance center. It is designed to help job seekers with the tools that they need to find a job. We have partnered with libraries in 5 other cities, providing the same types of services that we offer here, just there.
Just walk in, we have laptops, and we can help you with resume, cover letter.
All of our services are paid for by the revenues earned in our store. Goodwill is just a tool that the community is using to help their neighbors find a job. Goodwill, there's more behind the store.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, I heard a talk show host recently say something, and others saying something similar on Facebook about how women who dress provocatively, they have no place to complain about sexual harassment or abuse. The insinuation, of course, being that to dress provocatively invites sexual attention. Now, these comments came about after the issue of sexual assault and harassment were addressed at this year's presentation of the Golden Globes, which, honestly, I didn't watch. But this is ignorance, folks. How a woman dresses has nothing to do with provoking harassment, abuse, or assault. And the way a woman dresses in no way justifies an abuser's offensive, harassing, or criminal behavior. No way, no how. Now, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody is entitled to my opinion.
The NCW Life channel is your home for local news, local weather, and events including live local high school sports. Watch inspiring local shows featuring local people. Don't miss Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Let's learn. Guada TV, Street Talk and Other Stuff, the 12th District, Life with Lisa, and the Arbiter of Stoke. NCW Life Channel is your local TV station.
We're here to celebrate every season with award-winning dining, full-service spa, and 170 waterfront guest rooms. Come experience our tradition of hospitality at Campbell's Resort on Lake Chelan.
When you call Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning, you get 35 years of experience and customer service in the Wenatchee Valley. Dick's friendly staff strongly believe in repairing before replacing and service all major brands of HVAC units. Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning is your local, independent, trained comfort specialists, proudly serving all of North Central Washington. Call 884-6444 today.
Join us for Street Talk and Other Stuff with Mike Magnotti on the NCW Life Channel. This former police sergeant is plugged into not only the world of the streets, he's an actor and connoisseur of the arts. So join Mike and his guest for, well, Street Talk and Other Stuff. Mondays at 10 a.m., Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m., and Wednesdays at 5:30. It's Street Talk and Other Stuff with Mike Magnotti on the NCW Life Channel.
And we're back at 41 minutes after the hour, this Monday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. For the second year in a row, the Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center has teamed up with the City of Wenatchee's Historic Preservation Board to give you, Joe Ku public, a chance to see 10 really cool buildings and historic homes from the Wenatchee Valley. You've driven by them before. You may be curious about that particular house or that particular building. So I wonder what it's like inside. Your chance on Sunday to do just that. And from the Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center to talk about it, to my immediate left is Casey Koski, who not only is helping put this together, but actually has one of the houses that's on the tour. And to my far left is Selena Denko, both of them from the Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center. You're first timers on my show, so I usually ask them a little bit about themselves. Selena, you're the education
I am the education director. At the museum.
Meaning you do what exactly? When the buses pull on alongside Mission Street, you take over from there?
Yes.
Okay.
So children and adult educational programming. So everything from environmental films to geology bus tours to historic home tours.
I love it when the kids come to the museum. It's important to learn about where you live and your history, where you call home. A little something about Casey. Talk about yourself real quick.
So I'm curator of exhibits for the museum. I've been there about 3 years. It's a fun job. It lets me use all sorts of crazy creative skills.
Cool.
And looking forward to the home tour. We've got a pretty neat place. It stole my heart when we first looked at it. So I think it's going to be fun sharing it.
So there's 10 different buildings that you're going to have a chance to tour. A couple of them are back for the second year in a row. This is the second time they did it. Whose brainchild was this last year? This is a great idea. Who came up with this?
So it's not the first time that we've had the historic home tour. We took a hiatus for a year as we had some transition from different staff members coming and going from the museum. And then the Historic Preservation Board approached us about partnering again and organizing another tour, and we were excited about the opportunity to get it going again.
Recruiting the various property owners. I mean, first of all, how you decide what houses that you were or buildings you were going to profile, and how did you approach those owners and say, do you mind if a bunch of strangers come rumbling through your living room on Sunday afternoon? How does that work?
So initially, the first thing that we do is the Historic Preservation Board from the City of Wenatchee sends out a letter to all of the owners of historic homes in the City of Wenatchee. But we also do some recruiting as we drive by houses too, and we get excited about some of the different structures, and we introduce ourselves. And sometimes homeowners are so proud of their home that they bite and they want to show the community what they've done in their house.
And Casey's a perfect example of that. You live in one of the houses that's going to be on the tour on Pennsylvania Avenue. Why? You just have an affinity for old houses? I know I do.
I do have a soft spot for old houses, but also Selena's pretty persuasive.
Yeah.
Well, I have a lot on my plate at the museum at this time of year because we're transitioning a gallery at this time, and so throwing the home tour on top means that I really want to have my house in tip-top shape as well. So it's been cleaning my house after work in the evenings, trying to pull things together, and well, it'll be fun.
Finding the
like old
occasional
houses.
item in your backyard. Explain what you brought us here. Casey's house is on, you're on the Pennsylvania Avenue, right? So
I'm also an avid gardener, and so each year when we rototill the garden, something new comes out.
do you mind if I open this?
Go right ahead. So this year's finds, they've been getting a little bit less exciting, it seems, now that we've tilled the same areas over and over. But that's one of my favorites. It's a 1940s pressed rubber car. To me, it looks like one of the National Park wagons, you know, where they're like red with the wood paneling on the side. So I've looked it up on the internet, and it's roughly from the 1940s.
Wow.
But there's all kinds of interesting things. Many, many marbles have come out of the dirt over the years. And sometimes it's not even while you're tilling, but later when the water's running and we're, you know, watering the tomato plants, and all of a sudden there's a shiny, you know, colorful spot in there, and you go in and you fetch it, and sure enough, it's another marble.
There's a chess piece in here.
That doesn't seem to be a very old chess
No.
piece. That's like a 1980s chess piece, maybe.
But this is maybe the most fascinating thing of all. What is this? Is this
So
the
it's
halfpenny?
a Washington State halfpenny. It was a tax token created when they first introduced sales tax in the state of Washington. So they only made them, I think, for about a 10-year period, and it's made of aluminum, so it's in surprisingly good shape. But it's probably 1920s.
Wow.
So it's you just never know what you're going to find.
You
There's
should
a
go
lot
see
of,
if you can buy like some gas with this.
I don't know if they'd give me a drop of gas for that, considering it was only worth a halfpenny in
true.
1920.
That's true. So my suggestion is for you folks who plan on doing the tour, again, it's this Sunday, start out at 232 Pennsylvania Avenue, bring a couple of garden tools with you, and let's dig up your yard and see what else we can find. And
Well, sure.
You
There's
probably
always something in there.
talk about your home. What can people expect at your place?
So ours is, I guess, a four-square style of home. It was built in 1906, as were many of the homes on our street. It's got some really charming original character left to it. It was part of what won my heart. We've got really neat windows. There's turned columns on the front porch, a sculptural ball that's on the top of the banister coming up onto the porch. But there are some interesting things, as everyone that owns or has lived in an old home knows. There are things that have been repaired or changed or, you know, added onto or throughout the years, and it's always kind of fun to figure out, like, when did this happen or what were they thinking when this happened? And even as I was getting my house ready for the tour, and I mopped some floors over the weekend, you know, as part of the old home, you just never know. And I had immediately following mopping the floor, had a leak under the sink that had to quickly be negotiated. I was like, oh, come on, I was getting so close.
Living in an old historic home has its challenges, but the rewards usually
Definitely
pay back
outweigh the challenges.
Many-fold.
Yeah.
The Cascadian is new to the tour this year. This is probably, if you can say there's one just pure iconic structure in the Wenatchee Valley, you would have to go with either the Wells House, which is also on the tour, or the Cascadian. What are our folks at home looking at right now? You want to take this one, Selena?
Sure. So this is drone footage of the exterior of the Cascadian Hotel. It really gives you a bird's eye view of the Art Deco facade at the roof line. So most of us, when we walk on the street, don't see that roof line very well. Those are ceramic tiles with the color baked in. Wow. Those ceramic tiles most likely came from the Clayton Brick and Lime Company in Clayton, Washington, which was a gathering place of Italian artisans from Italy because it was a great clay source. The primary function of that company was making sewer pipe, but they also made these beautiful tiles that were arranged on some of the buildings in downtowns all over Washington State, including Wenatchee. So I love this drone footage because you really get to see the beautiful colors that pop out in that Art Deco decoration. And on this tour, you'll be able to actually put your hands on some of those tiles when we go up to the roof. So.
Cascadian's nearly, what, 80 years old? It's 80 years, built 29, right? And it's still the tallest building in the city proper.
It is still the tallest building in Wenatchee, yes.
Wow. So how does, now this is new to the tour, is this going to be slightly different of getting in and touring than the other homes?
Yes, it is. It
Okay.
is. It's low-income housing for seniors, and so there is restrictive access to the building. We will be queuing people up for a tour every half an hour outside the structure and entering with an employee, Paul Mosley, who created this footage. So you'll need to reserve your spot. You can call me ahead of time to reserve your spot for a quote-unquote fast pass if you'd like.
It's an historic building. You really should check it out. Wells House is back again. Wells House, can't quite see it from 5th Street anymore, but you still get there, of course, 9th Street and then Nelson. Wells House is back on the tour. Most people are fairly familiar with Wells House, are they not?
Yes.
So,
yeah,
you probably don't need to get a lot of, but if you haven't been in there before, you got to check it out. A place you want to visit but you don't want to live is the House of Peace Mausoleum. This was the big hit last year, so it's back again this year. We've all seen it. It's on Miller, right before you get to Wenatchee High School. It's on Miller between Cherry and Millerdale, Russell, and people kind of just drive by it. There's a Chelan County PUD substation behind it, and people have been curious about it for years. And last year you said, let's open up the doors. So it's back again. Talk about the House of Peace Mausoleum.
So there are several very important historical figures that are interred there, including former Mayor Ed Ferguson, some children, and so there's some interesting people that are interred there, but the structure itself has an interesting story. It was sold to the Wenatchee community, people invested in it, and it turned out that there was a concern that that investment wasn't going to result in an actual construction of a building, but the community rallied and made sure that structure was built. But it is closed most of the year. It's owned by the City of Wenatchee. The City of Wenatchee has opened it up so we can go in and tour that building and get to know some of the characters that are interred there.
The home at 1230 Castle Rock, when it was built in 1902, it was out in the middle of nowhere. It was surrounded by orchards. I mean, it's hard to believe Castle Rock now, but Castle Rock, where this house is located, that we're going to talk about next, this house was all by itself for a long period of time, and eventually development kind of cruised in on it. Talk about the house at 1230 Castle Rock that was built in 1902.
So the current owner of that home is Joyce O'Neill. Her family's lived there for 30 years, and there are little stories about the O'Neill family in every nook and cranny of that home, and they're fascinating stories. She has, every nook and cranny is also filled with little knickknacks, and each one of those knickknacks has a story about 30 years of living in that home. The attic has a unique feature. The chimneys lean, so they kind of angle like this. There's two of them up there. It's also the only part of the building that has enough free square footage to have dances, and so the family used to go up there at New Year's and have dances in the attic. There's a disco ball up there, in fact. It's purple, which is one of Joyce O'Neill's favorite colors. Mm-hmm. And inside the house, there's lots of stories, but even in the exterior of the house, there are lots of stories in the garden. So her husband, Sonny O'Neill, worked for the Forest Service, but what they did together is they worked on that house and they worked on those gardens, and each one of the gardens has a story. Her yellow garden has one pink flower that comes up every year, and Sonny planted that, and it just reminds her of Sonny, who has since passed away. So
it's a cool house. You've driven by it a bunch of times, and now it's time to go check it out. That was a house on 1230 Castle Rock. Back to the Grandview Historic District, 129 South Franklin. That home.
So that was built by the Finlaysons, and the Finlaysons have an interesting story. He was actually a fur trader in the Saskatchewan before he moved to the Wenatchee area, and then was involved in the Columbia Printing Company here in Wenatchee. But I found out that he donated the rifle, the fur trade rifle that appears in our Native American exhibit at the museum. So you make all of these connections when you research the characters that live in these different homes.
The Weinstein House at 25 North Delaware. Still, last time I went by there, there's these massive maple trees all over it. I hope they're still there.
Yes.
And doing well.
Yes, the trees are still there. It's beautifully shaded home, very comfortable inside and out. Some of the original plantings are still there from its original construction, so the gardens are definitely a feature of that home as well.
And your home and the home we just talked about, they're kind of within walking distance, right? The one on Delaware, the one on Franklin, the one on Pennsylvania. They're kind of fairly close together, right?
They're pretty close, and they're ones that, living in that neighborhood, I've always looked at and went, wow, that's one I'd like to see. So I'm hoping to have a break from showing people around my house to be able to take some of them in myself.
Sure. Now, you bring up an important point. Outside of the Cascadian, which is by appointment with guided tours going in and out, the rest of this is just it's almost like an open house for like a real estate Sunday, kind of that kind of deal, right? You go to whatever house or building you want to, whatever time you want to during the parameters, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so you'll have a wristband, and that will get you into any of the homes on the tour throughout the day, 10 to 4.
And you can buy a ticket at any of the beginning spots, or do you have to go to the museum, or
You have to go to the museum
to get
buy
your
a
tickets?
ticket,
And the
yes.
museum itself is part of the tour, right?
Yes, it is.
So that's a big old 2 buildings, both of them federal buildings, built about 20 years apart. Now, of course, it's been with the Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center since the late 70s, early 80s. That's probably a huge building with lots. You mentioned nooks and crannies. Do people get to see stuff that they would normally see, or not normally see if they just go to the museum?
Yes, so the museum tour is behind the scenes. So we have some catwalks that are still in place that the postmaster used to use to spy on his workers to make sure people weren't stealing mail on the mailroom floor. So there's little viewing areas and listening areas too. So we're going to take people on those catwalks. We'll take people down to the basement so you can see the huge doors that were put on some of the cold storage areas when they were doing research for preserving apples down in the basement. So
2 more buildings to talk about in the time we have left. 1611 Love Lane, the Warm Springs Inn and Winery, of course, has been around as a bed and breakfast, but I did not know the historical importance of this home.
So it was built originally for a family to live in, and then it was converted to a sanatorium to house sick people through World War I and World War II, and it was a tuberculosis ward as well. It started out as a craftsman building and was converted to Southern plantation style. Nobody really knows why, but it is a beautiful building, and you can really see, like Casey's talking about, when you work on a home and you spend a lot of time with it, you start to see the history of the building emerge, and you'll see the different footprints of the building change just looking at the wood on the floor.
And finally, there's one house on the east side, the Genziger House on Sunset Highway. You've driven by this thing all the time. This was on last year's tour. Talk about the Genziger House.
Yeah, so the Genzingers were important developers in East Wenatchee. They actually owned 3 homes in East Wenatchee. One of them is known as the Genziger Mansion, and we hope to have that on the tour someday. It's not this year. The home that we'll be touring this year is right along the highway. It's a beautiful craftsman-style brick home. We believe was from a Sears Roebuck catalog model that they copied from the restaurant on this side of the river. The
Wild Huckleberry.
Thank you, the Wild
Huckleberry.
Huckleberry. It's believed to be a copy of that one.
Okay.
Yes.
So for those folks who are interested, first of all, there's some do's and don'ts. You're walking through some private people's homes. My guess is you'll have some private homes of people. You'll have some do's and don'ts. You know, don't raid the fridge and stuff like that. I mean, can you walk through some of the faux pas that you don't want your folks to commit when they're doing these tours?
Well, Selena's guaranteed that people are asked not to touch your personal possessions. Right. We are, as homeowners, allowed to block off certain spaces if you'd prefer people didn't enter. So just, I guess, general respect. I believe that the people taking the tours will have some shoe protection. Yeah. Now, I have 2 sons. We wear our shoes in the house, but I don't wear high heels in there very often. Okay. So if somebody's doing the home tour in heels, they've been asked to kind of just be conscious of the work that's been done to these homes and the fact that many of them have wood flooring. And what else did you?
Oh, that's the big one. High heels are a real problem for these beautiful wood floors that are in a lot of these homes. So we will ask you to take them off and put on our little booties.
Please. And as a homeowner, and you mentioned there are a couple of times on Sunday where you might want to slide away and check out some of the other homes on the tour. Are most of these homes the homeowners going to be there, answer questions, things like that, or some of them are just going to take off and say, "Don't burn my house down, and I'll be back at 4"?
I think it's kind of a mixed bag. My husband and I are actually kind of looking forward to sharing our home with people, so we plan on being there for most of the day anyway. But there are teams of volunteers signed up to assist at every house. So some of the homeowners, I think, have chosen to just be away, which I considered, but really I'd like to share it. So we're going to be there, but we'll also have some volunteers, people that are very interested in historic buildings, and some of the wonderful volunteers that support the museum all year round.
It's going to be a beautiful day on Sunday. Drop dead gorgeous. Let people know how do they get tickets, all that good stuff. The meat and potatoes. Selena?
So you can purchase tickets by going to our website, WenatcheeValleyMuseum.org. You can call us 509-888-6240. You can also purchase tickets on the day of the tour if you're not sure what your plans are for Sunday at the museum. The museum will be open from 10 to 4.
And again, you can visit any houses you want, any order you want, with the exception of the Cascadian. That one's going to be kind of an in and out guided tour, which is perfectly understandable. Nicely done. I'm looking forward to it. Now, last year, all I did was the House of Peace mausoleum because I was kind of interested in that, and it's kind of interesting to tell you the truth. And I've never been inside the Cascadian, so I think I'll do that on Sunday.
That's what I'm hoping to see.
All right.
I've never been inside.
Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, anytime. Yeah, we'll let you kids go back to work. The rest of you go to work. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.